The sound that I've always liked, that I think we've used from the original West End Girls onwards, is what used to be on the emulator. It was a sample called Voices One, and it's like a soprano single choir note. It still crops up. In fact, for instance, on Domino Dancing. It's been on a lot of things before that, though, and it still crops up nowadays occasionally. And I mean, if they're talking about specific gear, I never know what we're using anyway half the time. Pet Shop Boys are famous for string sounds, aren't they?
We're famous for using presets, really. There was a funny thing where Bernard had listened to Palinaro and he'd spent ages trying to get the sound which plays this wing noise all the way through.
Feedbacky sound.
And he eventually asked where it had come from. And so it's just a preset. And he spent ages trying to find it.
It's preset 1.
Oh yeah, on some keyboard. So we've always
DX7 or something.
Yeah, no favourite piece of equipment really. We've just used what's ever. I mean, when we started, we just used to use what was ever in the studio. Actually, there's too much choice now, really. In the computer, there's so many hi-hat sounds. You think, oh, you could spend a week choosing a hi-hat sound. We don't really have the patience for that. So everything tends to be the first thing we hear, the first bass sound. Everything's just, it's got to be easy and quick.
Oh, well, my parents, particularly my mother, used to. I listened to them a lot. I mean, I remember on the first album, my mother being really, really insistent that Suburbia should be a single. And she would comment on singles choices. The last album they all seemed to have in their car was the Concrete album, the live album with the orchestra we did with Trevor Horn. They both used to listen to that a lot.
My mum, is still a huge fan and orders the reissues from the Pet Shop Boys website. She doesn't wait for the free ones sent from the office. No, she orders them, pays, and so yeah, she's more of a fan than I am. On occasion we've bought each other things, but it's not demanded or expected. I once bought Neil this dressing gown from a posh shop on Bond Street. Like
Newell Coward would buy his dressing gowns in the 1930s, and Chris gave me this, I think in about 1990. Anyway, I've still got it. I had it mended. I don't wear it very often because it's getting a bit fragile, but it's a very beautiful silk dressing gown. Well, of recent, from Elysium, there's the song I like called In His Imagination, which was done after the album. What happened was Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees died, and we decided to do a cover version, which we did do, which I also like, of the song from the 60s which he sang, I Started a Joke. And Chris started working on an arrangement that was very kind of Italo, and we realised for the Bee Gees song, I Started a Joke, it didn't really work, so we put it to one side. And we did a different version of the I Started a Joke. But then we liked this throbbing track that Chris had started to work on, and so we wrote a new song over it, and it became In His Imagination. And there's something very warm and optimistic about it.
The one I like is This Used to Be the Future, because it was a thrill having Phil Oakey come down and sing on the track, and it sounds so, early Human League to me, which is a bit of a thrill.
Well, what was the original 6 reissues are being remastered 16 years later or something, and they're going to come out in the spring next year. So that's Please, Actually, Introspective, Behaviour, Very and Bilingual. God, I should remember them all. And they're going to come out next spring, and they're going to be the same with the same booklets. One of the reasons of the style we did the latest ones, the newest ones, was that if you'd bought those back in the day, these were in exactly the same style booklets and artwork and all the rest of it, and boxes. So, but if you haven't bought them in the past, these ones would be remastered. But we decided not to change them because we thought if people bought them back in the day, it seems a bit unfair to expect people to rebuy them. There was one issue that we discussed at some length, which was the album Relentless, In 1993, when Very came out, we did a dance album that was sort of a limited edition thing called Relentless, and the package is called Very Relentless. And that's never been reissued, and we are aware of that, but we're thinking we will bring it out at some point. Maybe doing, at some point in the future, redoing our disco albums. So we've done various, apart from discos 1, 2, 3 and 4, we had like bilingual, we had the mixes went out with Yes, we had Relentless. We might put out a box set or something of just all these mixes. We're always aware of people sort of accusing you of just milking your back catalogue or something. We try to do things that have got a really good rationale and integrity about them. But one thing that would be quite interesting is I think if we brought out all of the singles in a box set with all of the B-sides, all the mixes that went with each one, that would be nice to do as well. And also, what would be really nice would be to bring together all the remixes as well.
Oof.
Yeah, quite.
Where are you going to put it all? Where are you meant to put all of this? Yeah. Well, you've got a small flat.
Well, we've discussed doing a box set of all of them. I said, for what it's worth, before the first of these new ones came out, that we should announce that beforehand if we're going to do it, because I don't think it's fair to get people to buy the separate ones and suddenly announce you're doing a box set. So I suppose, as we didn't do that, I don't think we will bring it out, a box set of all of them. If people think that's I don't know, but we might change our minds in 3 years' time or something. There was an idea, though, to do a box set that was Pet Shop Boys Parlophone 1985 to 2012. We've also discussed making all of the booklets into one book. I don't know if that'll ever happen either, though, because what's really interesting about that, we sat down with Chris Heath over the course of these reissues and talked about every single chart we've released. So maybe at some point in the future we could use that as just a book of sort of complete Pet Shop Boys kind of idea. But it's gone no further than the idea stage at the moment.